The World Athletics Council has finally announced the nominees for World Athlete of the Year. On the men's side, we have very familiar names, such as Ryan Krauser, there's your boy Noah Lyles, and there's Mondo Duplantis. But we also have Jakob Ingebrigtsen, the 23-year-old world champion from Norway. Now, this man needs no introduction. He has been around the top of the rankings for the previous 5 or 6 years, running very well, winning the Olympic Games in 2021, earning a world championship in 2022, and he defended his 5,000-meter world title this year in 2023. But it was really what he did throughout the entire season that made him such a world-class athlete, because he not only broke the 2-mile world record, previously held by Daniel Komen, but he broke the 2,000-meter world record, previously held by Hisham El Garouj. For 2023, Yakob unquestionably had a very historic season, reaching some of the fastest times ever seen in multiple events, and he capped it off with a nearly unbeaten streak across every single distance. But it's actually what's happening off the track that's really making headlines recently, because the Ingebrigtsen family has found themselves in some complicated hot water. And I wanted to touch on this because there have been so many misreports, so many rumors floating around, and even from my perspective, I don't know everything. There's just so much going on in such a short amount of time, but I wanted to discuss them a little bit here. So the drama really started back in 2022 when Jakob's father Yurt announced that he would no longer be coaching Jakob Ingebrigtsen. And at the time, this was actually reported as a health issue, so he was taking medical leave while his 3 sons continued to run very well on the international circuit. And if you don't already know, Jakob has 2 brothers, Henrik and Philip, that are world-class runners. In fact, they have also been in world championship events, and they've been favorites for European titles. But over the previous couple of months, various reports have showcased that perhaps Yurt wasn't taking medical leave. And for me, my eyes really started to open when Yurt was not present at Jakob Ingebrigtsen's wedding. So if you don't already know, Jakob Ingebrigtsen got married just a few days after this year's Prefontaine Classic, which was probably the greatest week or 2 of his life, because he won 2 incredibly quick races, this year's Pre-Classic in the mile and the 3,000, and just a few days after that, he got married to his longtime fiancée. Now, this wedding and their honeymoon made news across the world, and a big reason for this is because in Norway, they are 100% celebrities. With their own TV show, their training is documented, tabloids have them all over the place, but the fact that Yurt wasn't present was a huge concern. In fact, this is only the start of this drama because their mother, who was also present, had a few awkward interactions with Henrik Ingebrigtsen. This is obviously not a preferable way for a family event to take place, but recently, rumors have been exploding because there has been reports of abuse, there have been reports of national corruption against Yurt, and recently, Let's Run has been going truly crazy because Yurt has officially lawyered up to battle against the Norwegian Athletics Federation, and this is certainly very concerning. And what's also interesting is that there have been reports that Jakob is threatening to not run in any championship event, whether it be the Olympic Games or whether it also be the World Championships, unless his father Yurt can be accredited as an official coach for various athletes in the Norwegian Athletics Federation. This is kind of confusing to me because if Jakob Ingebrigtsen is threatening to withhold his international running from Norway, he would have to support his father 100%, right? That only makes sense, but his father was not at his wedding. And while there could be a medical emergency that would require Yurt to not show up to his wedding, there was nothing ever reported as such. I honestly feel like there is so much happening behind the scenes, and I don't even want to make any guesses or put forth any ideas at the moment, because the reality is that I don't know. But what's undeniable is that there are so many weird and bizarre stories currently circulating around the internet right now about the Ingebrigtsen family. And at the center of all this has been Jakob Ingebrigtsen, who despite this massive dysfunction and many reports of borderline abuse, has still managed to run one of the greatest seasons in distance running history, and he broke multiple world records in the process. Now, one of the more bizarre stories that I also wanted to mention that kind of ties into all this is Henrik. There was one official report that stated that Narvin Nordas, who ended up winning a medal in this year's 1500-meter finals of the World Championships, was in some way kind of bullied by Henrik during the early stages of this season. There was one part of the year where they were actually at a training camp, and Narve went over to sit next to Jakob and Henrik, and the report was saying that Henrik was being a complete bully to Narvin Nordas. Again, this is just speculation, but it was supported by a few articles, and it does make this kind of a weird situation when it comes to racing during the World Championships. I don't know if Narve and Jakob have a good relationship, or if they have no relationship at all, but a lot of people do think that this ties in quite well with the way that Jakob has been behaving during his interviews recently. If you're not familiar, Jakob is not afraid of saying names and talking about times, and pretty much outright saying that he's better than anyone else in the world. There have been countless interviews recently where people are asking him about his race plans or about his race execution, and he basically says, yeah, I know I'm the best, and I am the best, and that's why I perform the best. It would be nice if other people could compete with me. However, that just isn't happening right now. Now, I'm all for confidence, and I'm all for bolstering your own image in order to get more confidence to push into greater areas of performances. However, when confidence clearly bleeds over into cockiness, that can occasionally bleed over into outright rudeness, and sometimes it can bleed over into delusion. I'm not saying that Jakob is doing that right now, I'm just saying that a lot of people are saying that's happening. So for him to be in such an elite position and be nearly unbeatable is kind of troubling when it comes to his family situation. Some are saying that Jakob is bullying his own family, some are saying that Yurt has been abusive to many other members of his family. At the end of the day, I don't know, but I'll put a few articles down below that really put this into perspective and give some idea as to what has been happening over the previous few years. And now I really want to hear from all of you. What do you think about this whole Jakob Ingebrigtsen situation? It's pretty crazy from my end. However, there's only so much that's public, and there's only so much that we can know, so I would love to know how you all analyze this situation yourself. Thanks for watching, everyone, and as always, until next time.